Okay, good morning. You're on to Mamu with Jarvis, and it's NECO BECE 2022 question review. We've concluded paper 2, my favorite area. Now we're coming to paper 1, and then, like we said, in paper 1 covers essentially arithmetic and geometry. We started with question. The last time we stopped at question 30. So today we'll be going into question 31, and hopefully we'll try to close out on this. It's important, more often than not, that we are able to go through the past question of the exam, taking us to the senior secondary school classes. We go through them because it helps us to understand areas we had challenges and what we need to do to take care of them, and also areas we are strong at and how we can even get better at them. All right, so with that said, we'll go to question 31. If you have your question paper, I always advise that you have your question paper when going through these videos. You can always get these papers online. Okay, there are sites that have these papers. Just type in that on Google, and Google will take you to some of these sites having these question papers. So question 31 says, a car traveling at 60 kilometers per hour completes a distance in 3.5 hours. Now, how long will it take to complete the same distance if the speed is decreased to? If the speed is decreased to 30 kilometers per hour. I'll take that again. This is somewhat of a technical question. That's one of the questions you need to read well before you answer. A car traveling at 60 kilometers per hour completes a distance in 3.5 hours. Or rather, 3/2 hours. Because when I say 3.5 hours, I may confuse you. So it's more like 3/2. That is 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Okay. How long will it take to complete the same distance if the speed is decreased to? Decreased to. Good. I'm emphatic on that one. 30 kilometers per hour. Okay, this is a very simple question. This question is testing your knowledge of what I may call direct proportion. It's a question on direct proportion. Remember that from our formula, we know that velocity or speed, or let's say speed, is equal to distance over time. Oh, did I say direct? Okay, let's see. Sorry about that. I said direct. It's actually inverse. Thank God I had to write the formula. So it means that distance will be equal to what? Speed times time. From your knowledge of change of subject of formula. Now look at it. How long will it take to complete the same distance? I didn't pay attention to that information. That's why I say sometimes you didn't really need to read. The easiest questions to fail are the ones you did not read well. If you don't read your questions well, you end up failing them. So you see, I almost fell prey to this setup. This question is actually testing your knowledge of inverse variation. So what it means now is that the distance covered is the same, just like trying to sweep a house. You want to sweep a space. If you increase the number of people, the time it will take will reduce. If you reduce the number of people, the time it will take will do what? Increase. So let's look at this. So it means that 60 kilometers per hour, sorry about that, 60 kilometers per hour will be equivalent to 3/2 hours, and 30 kilometers per hour will be what I'm thinking of the time. Now, when you're dealing with inverse variation or inverse proportion, sorry about that, you multiply this and divide by this. So what I'm thinking of will now be what? 60 times 3 over 2 over 30. If we're dealing with direct, it will be this times this divided by this. That's just the difference. I would also do videos on this to help us understand this better. So this will be 30 go here 1, 30 go here 2. I'm right to that. 2 go here 1, 2 go here 1, and that will be 3. So that will be 3 hours. So that answer will be 3 hours, and the answer obviously will be option B. Option B will be the correct answer to that question. So we go to question 32. In question 32, we are told that calculate the volume of a cuboid 7 cm long, 5 cm wide, and 3 cm high. So volume, that one is a very straightforward question. Volume of cuboid will simply be what? 7 times 5 times 3. Straight away, 35 times 3, which will give you what? 105 centimeter cube. That's one of those questions you should be able to clear. Volume will always be a description of length, height, and what? Breadth. So that's one of those simple questions you can easily take care of. All right. So question 33. In question 33, we have, or we are told to calculate the area of the parallelogram. For questions like this, I always enjoy students to look very closely to the diagram. If you have to be an OBJ question, theory question, and I said draw first. One unique thing about geometry is that you must imbibe the culture of drawing. You must like to draw. You must like to draw. 1.5 cm, 18 cm. Now, this is A, B, C, D. I think I've covered this a lot in my videos, that when we label shapes, we go in an orderly manner. You can either go like this or go like this. The most important thing is that the diagram, you have to go in an orderly manner. So what is area? Area of, this will be this. We are told that it's a parallelogram. So we are told it's a parallelogram. So area of palm, which is short for parallelogram, is simply what? Base times the height. So if you are multiplying this, there are two ways to go about it. For me, I'll just say 18 times 3 over 2, because I know 1.5 is what? 3 over 2. And then I'll cancel out. 9 times 3 will give me 27. Will give me 27. 27 centimeter squared. And that option will be what? E. So that clears question 30. That will clear question 33. Right. Now we go to question 34. In question 34, we are told to find the perimeter of a rectangle. To find the what? Perimeter of the rectangle. What is perimeter? Perimeter is simply distance around the figure. Now, please, I always advise students, it's always best to draw the figure. I always find that very easy to handle problems. Draw it. This will be 8. This will be 4. If this is 8, this will also be 8. Drawing from your knowledge of the properties of what? Your rectangle. This is 8. This will be 8. This is 4. This will be 4. So when they say perimeter, don't bother quoting formula. Just add everything up. 8 plus 4, 12. 12 plus 8, 20. 20 plus 4, 24. So that gives you what? A perimeter equal to 24 centimeters. And that takes care of that. And that will be option D. So you see that these are questions that should not take you time. In fact, these questions we've just done, this 1, 2, 3, you can actually clear them in 1 minute if you know what you're doing. So that's how these exams are done. You need to know the questions that will take your time and be patient with those ones. And the ones that will not take your time, you quickly address them and then you move on. All right. So we'll go to question 35. Question 35. A machine produces 800 pins in 4 days. 800 pins. A machine produces 800 pins in 4 days. How many pins will it produce in 12 days? Now, remember that this is more like a production process. So the number of days you spend will determine how many you produce. So this is an example of what is called direct proportion. So in direct proportion, all I need to do is to say this times this divided by this. Now, another student can also be smart enough to say what I'm thinking will be this. If 800 is produced in 4 days, 12 is a multiple of 4. 4 times 1, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 4 times 3, 12. So I have 3 times of this here. So still could just say 800 times 3. And that answer will become 2,400 pins. So there's no particular method that this must be the way you must solve it. Questions usually test what area. I've always told us that there is no one particular method of solving a question. It depends on what you are seeing, how you're seeing it. So that answer will be D. Now, 36. In question 36, we are given a right angle, rather an equilateral triangle. And I hope you know that when you see this sign, it means all the sides are equal. You are told to find the perimeter. What will the perimeter be? How many sides? 3 sides. So just simply add 4 plus 4 plus 4, and that will be 12 centimeters. So that option will be D. See that these are very cheap questions. They are questions that don't involve you to waste so much time. Now, question 37. Find the value of y in the figure below. So let's draw the diagram. This is y. This is 10. This is angle 25 degrees. We are told to find the value of y. Remember, we treated, or you may have treated what is called trigonometric ratios. Now, you discover that I have an angle that is relating to a side I need to find and a side I already know. I have an angle that is relating to a side I'm supposed to find and a side I already know. Now, we said that the side the angle sees is called the opposite. The side facing 90 degrees is called the what? Hypotenuse. So obviously this will be the adjacent. Now, in an exam setup, all you need to do is remember your SOHCAHTOA. So if you look at it, I'm trying to find opposite, but I know adjacent. So straight away, I'll just say that tan is what I need. So tan y, or rather, sorry, tan 25 degrees will be equal to what? Y over 10. So from this, if 10, from your knowledge of algebraic fractions, if this is multiplying this, equations with algebraic fractions, if this is dividing this, what will it do to this to multiply this? So y will be equal to, we write the 10 before we write this. That's how it is done. That will be 10 tan 25 degrees. So what is 25 degrees? I have my 4-figure table close by, so I'll get it. So with my 4-figure table, I'm going to now check. I go to where I have so you go to your 4-figure table, or what you call your mathematical tables. I'm already working on doing series of work on the use of logarithm tables. So you look out for that on these videos. It's a series. I'm going to be taking each of the tables you need to check. You need to use your mathematical tables to work on. So I'm going to do a very serious series on it shortly. So I want us to look up for those videos when they start to appear. All right, so let's go to, if you're using this standard WAEC timetable, 4-figure table rather, you discover that tangent of angles is found on page 24. That's if you're using this type. There's also another type, the green one given to schools by NECO. I think that's one used for the NECO BECE. I don't have that readily, so but maybe I'll try to ensure that in my next meeting or subsequent meetings, I have a copy of that so that you can relate with these things. Now, we have tangent here. So we'll simply go to where you have 25. If you look at the colon, written X, you see 25. You check the value under 0, and that will give you 0.4663. If you've done the right thing, it will give you 10 times 0.4663. What does 10 do? 10 is a decimal place mover. So it will move the decimal place to the right. So that will be 4.663. What unit was given to us there? Centimeters. Now we are told to correct to 1 decimal place. This will become the digit of interest, and this will become the digit causing the approximation. So the digit causing the approximation is above 5. So it can loop here and cause this to increase to 7. So your final answer becomes 4.7 cm to 1 decimal place. So that takes care of that. And the answer to that question will simply be what? B. Right, that's for 37. So let's go to 38. In question 38, it says find the compass bearing. We said that compass bearing is the same thing as what? There's what they call 3-figure bearing. There's what we call compass bearing. Now, when we talk about compass, the word compass means that I want to see my answer in terms of east, west, north, south. So we draw this out. This will be north, this will be east, this will be west, and this will be south. News. People don't even understand that that symbol you see in the Flash movie is actually concept of the compass direction. All right, so north, east, west, south. So with this diagram, remember that we said that this will be 0, this will be 90, this will be 180, because for bearing, all angles are measured with respect to a due north position. So this is how it will go, 270, and then back to what? 360. So if they tell you 99 degrees, it means that 099 degrees. It means that it is between here and here. From 9, this is 90. 99 will be somewhere around here. So I will move in here 9 degrees. So this will be south, moving towards what? East. Remember that we, in some of my previous videos, maybe I will need to attach those links because of, as you watch. I used 2 characters to explain this. I used the character of Nemo, the submariner, and I used the concept of Wakanda. And that's going to play out in the famous, more talked about movie that will come up in November. What's that one again? Wakanda Forever. We're going to see how those on land are going to fight those underwater. So that's the same situation we have when we're talking about compass bearing. We read south as south, south towards east, south towards west, and then we read north towards east, north towards west. Maybe when you watch those videos, you'll be able to see more information on this one. All right, it's actually the grade 8 experience. Now, if you look at this, and I've also done extensive videos on this. I posted that very recently on NECO BECE, bearing and distance. You may want to watch that video. I'll attach that link to this so that you can go back and sharpen your reflexes on that aspect. Now, this is 9 degrees. Remember that from here to here is 90 degrees. So if that 90 degrees, this will be what? 81 degrees. Because 9 from 90 will give me 81. So we measure in this direction. So it will be south, 81 degrees east. South, 81 degrees moving towards east. And that answer will be what? C. Sorry, will be D. That answer will be D. So that's the answer to that question. Okay, so we're done with that, and then we go to question 39. Question 39 is testing your knowledge of angles between lines. This is X. The whole of this angle is what? 324 degrees. Now, remember that to solve this, angle at a point will be what? 360 minus 324, because angle at a point is 360. So that will give you 36. So this angle becomes what? 36 degrees. So X will be equal to 36 degrees. Why is X equal to 36 degrees? This line is parallel to this. So we say that they are equal because they are called what? Alternate angles. They are alternate angles. This angle alternates with this. So that will be 36 degrees. So that option will be C. Let's look at question 40. In a population of 1,500 students that was wrongly recorded as 900, find the percentage error. What is the error? The error will be equal to 1,500 minus 900. This is what it was supposed to be. This is what it was wrongly recorded as. So the error will be what? 1,500 minus 900, and that will give you 600. Now, the percentage error is always calculated with reference to what we expect the figure to be. So the percentage error will now be the error over what I expected it to be times 100 over 1, because we're dealing with percentage. So we can cancel out. And what else can we do? 3 will go here, we'll get 5. 3 will go here, we'll get 200. 5 go here, 1. 5 go here, 40. So the percentage error will be what? 40%. So that will be 40%. And that option will be what? D. So that said, we will now go to question 41. In question 41, we are told that if the area of a semicircle, so what is the area of a circle? Area of a circle is equal to pi r squared. Sometimes I like the dialogue approach when I solve questions. I like to dialogue with my questions. If the area of a semicircle is 308 centimeters squared, calculate its radius. So obviously the formula you should use should involve your radius. So it means that area of semicircle will be equal to pi r squared over 2. Pi r squared over 2. So what does that mean? This will now be equal to 308, we are told, equal to what is pi? 22 over 7 times radius squared, which you don't know, divided by 2. I always tell students, deal with what you can see first. I can see this, so I cancel this. I'm going to have what here? 11. Now, you need to be conversant with numbers. 11 can divide this. If 11 goes here, I'll get 1. If 11 goes here, I'm going to get 28. So I won't be in a hurry. I'll try to write it out neatly. 28 will be equal to what? R squared over 7. R squared over 7. So what is R squared? If this is dividing this, this will multiply this. And this will give me what? 28 times 7. At this point, there are 2 ways you can go about it. You can simply just multiply these 2 and get your answer. So a student might say R squared equal to 196. I multiply this. 96 is a perfect, 196 is a perfect square. So I would say R is equal to the square root of 196, and that will be what? 14 centimeters. Now, that's one way to solve it. But sometimes in the exam, because you're dealing with time, you don't need to go through all those trouble. From here, let me show you another way I can solve this. From this one, I can just break it out. R squared is equal to what? 2 times 2 times 7 times 7. 2 times 2 is 4 times 7, 28 times 7. Now, remember that the concept of square root is pair and pick one. You did this in your grade 7, pair and pick one, when we're solving square root by method of factorization. Pair and pick one. So I'll just pick one. Pick one. So R will be equal to what? 7 will be equal to what? 2 times 7, which is what? 14 centimeters. Now, these are some of the things of very, what we may call, perceive as very smart students. No, you must be able to see. So to improve, try to train your eyes to see more. Be deliberate about seeing. All right, so that takes care of that question, and then we'll continue. In question 42, it says, if angle 90 is bisected, it will result to angle what? If angle 90 is bisected, it will result to angle what? The concept of bisecting is to divide to 2 equal halves. So simply what this question is saying is 90 divided by 2. That's 45 degrees. So straight away, the answer is what? B. There are questions that these ones are so at a very elementary level. 43. What is the diameter of a circle with circumference 264 centimeters? Remember that circumference is equal to pi d. And can also be equal to what? Pi r, 2 pi r. But this is the one we are going to use, pi d. So we're told the circumference is 264. Pi is 22/7. And then we're to look for the diameter. So what do we do? Very simple. 2 go here, I'll get what? 11. 2 go here, I'll get 132. Now, the reason why I've not used the approach of change of subject or formula is because sometimes in an exam setup, you want to be fast. You want to be very fast. And flexibility of thinking. Maybe this is what you remembered in the home. So let's assume that this is what I remember, the method I remembered to use. So how do you go about that? You divide that. 11 can divide this. To do well in circles, you must understand you must know your multiples of 11. In fact, you should memorize them because that's one way to get your answers fast in exam setup. Right? So this will be 11 go here 1. 11 go here, I'll have 12. So if 12 is equal to the diameter divided by 7, if 7 is dividing d, it means that 7 will multiply 12. And the answer becomes 84 centimeters. 12 times 7 will give you 84 centimeters. So that option will be what? D. Question 44. The sum of the interior angles of a heptagon is. I have a technique I've taught you before now, if you remember, because you need to know these things. Especially if you're doing a checkpoint or Cambridge, you need to know these methods because more often than not, we're not interested in the working, except we are told to show working. At least that's how the Cambridge and checkpoint exams go. So you are told to show workings, and it's like OBJ. You're not expected to show workings, so you need this way. You now bring your IQ to play. Now, the sum of the interior angles of a heptagon. A heptagon has 7 sides. How many right angles will it have? It will have 7 minus 2 right angles, and that will be what? 5. What's the sum of the angles of a triangle? It is what? 180. 180 times 5 gives me what? 900. So I don't need to waste my time there. The answer simply will be what? B. I'll go again. I've deliberately refused to write on the board. A heptagon has 7 sides. How many right angle triangles will it have? It will have 5 right angles. How do I know? I know that for any n-sided figure, it will have n minus 2 right angle triangles. So 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 times the sum of the angles of a triangle is 180. 5 times 180 gives me 900. So you see that at a mental level, you have solved this question and you're moving on. All right, I'm deliberate. I'm not going to write anything on the board. So I want you to watch this video again and try to picture this method and always apply it. Right, 45. The area scale factor of two similar shapes is 25:64. Find their linear scale factor. There are three types of factors you can have. You have what is called linear scale factor. You have what is called area scale factor. You have what is called volume scale factor. All right, so we are told the area scale factor is what? 25:64. And at your level, it is intentionally done that the values you have, whether be, if it's an area scale factor, it will be a perfect square. And if it's a volume scale factor, it will be a perfect cube. So if this is area scale factor is equal to 25:64. The linear scale factor will simply be find the square root of 25 is to find the square root of what? 64. And that will give me 5:8. So the linear scale factor will simply be 25, will be simply be what? 5:8. And if you've done that correctly, your answer will be D. 46. In question 46, we are told to calculate the volume of a cylinder. Now, this is where your four-figure table becomes very handy. These things are all in your four-figure table. You know, sometimes I see students trying to memorize formula. No, you don't need it. If you go to page 45 of your WAEC mathematical tables, on page 45, you see something written there, mensuration. Anything that has to do with area, volume, or whatever, you can get them here. So if I look at my own, I just go there and look for the same volume. The volume calculates the volume of a cylinder. I just go there and I'm seeing what? Volume of a cylinder is what? Pi r squared h. Not me, I don't need to waste my time. V is equal to pi r squared h. So this will be 22/7. What is the radius? The radius is 7/2. R squared means 7/2 twice. That's what it means. Don't stress yourself, begin to write 7/2 all squared. That will confuse you. Write it out. R squared means write the value of R twice, multiply it twice, times what is the height? The height is given as 12. So we can now cancel out. 2 go here, 1. 2 go here, 11. 7 go here, 1. 7 go here, 1. 2 go here, 1. 2 go here, 6. So what am I left with? I'm left with 11 times 7 times 6. Now, this is where I expect you to be very smart in your multiplication. I expect you to multiply these two first. This will give me 11 times 42. And you know that when you multiply this, it will simply be 42, and that will be 464. 462 rather. You must develop quick ways to attend to your problems. So this will be what? 464, 462, sorry about that. 462 centimeter cube. And that option will simply be what? What option would that be? That will be option C. So that takes care of that question. So let's go to question 47. In question 47, it says, what is the size of the angle marked X in the diagram below? I'm going to try to draw that for you. What is the size of the angle marked? Now, this is testing your knowledge of construction. Same radius, strike an arc, bisect, so what would this angle be? This angle will simply be what? 30 degrees. How do I know that? From my knowledge of construction, I've constructed what? 60 degrees. And if I bisect 60 degrees, I'm going to get 30 degrees. So x will be equal to 60 divided by 2, and that will be 30 degrees. So that option will be what? B. Question 48. In question 48, it says find the value of x in the figure below. Find the value of x in the figure below. Now, see what you're given. X, these two sides are equal. 124 degrees. Our total find x. Remember that from your knowledge of types of triangles, this is an isosceles triangle, which means that this side, if I call it A, these two sides will be equal. So it means that this angle will be equal to this angle. So there are different ways to solve this. I'm opting to solve. I'm opting to solve this one first. So angle on a straight line A plus 124 degrees will be equal to 180 degrees. What's the reason for that? Angles on a straight line. And with that said, I can now say that A will be equal to 180 minus 124. And that will simply be what? 56 degrees. So if this is 56 degrees, this will also be 56 degrees. So the sum of the angles of a triangle. So I know that x plus A will be equal to 180 degrees. I'm just doing this because let's assume this were to be a theory question. If for OBJ exam, which you have written, you expected to have done some of these things mentally. This will be what? Angle sum of triangle. Angle sum of triangle. So this will be x plus 56 equal to 180. Now, what does that mean? It means that x plus 112 will be equal to 180, and x will now be equal to 180 minus 112. So if you do that carefully, you discover that the answer will be what? 68 degrees, if I'm correct about that. And as such, x will be what? 68 degrees. And that option will be what? D for that question.